You are listening to Word2Wordz, the podcast where two poets come together to share their love for words and those who use them creatively. Before we start, make sure you subscribe to the podcast and also follow us on IG, Facebook, and Twitter, all at Word2Wordz. That's WORD, the number two, WORDZ. So you will never miss a word from us. Now, let's begin the show.
Hello, I'm Dara Kalima, the community poet.
And I'm Tonii, the Entreprepoet. And this is Word2Wordz. And yes, we are back with our 9th episode, number 9. Engine number 9 coming down the sunset line. I don't really know what these words are.
Pick it up.
Ow! Okay, so this is your poet's favorite podcast. Thank you all for being here. And as you already see, the energy is live and we are ready for this episode. But before we get started,
one of us knew the words to that song. That's also what I want to point out. Continue.
Oh my goodness. Gosh, I was on a roll, but she always got to call me out. But before we get started, let's actually do what we do all the time, every episode, and start us off with a word. And today we have something kind of simple. You may have heard it. It is simply candor. Candor, which means unreserved, honest, or sincere expression. I want to say, Dara, that you mean a lot to me. And this is not cap, this is candor, okay, in my expression to you, okay? This is very sincere, and yes, you mean a lot. Do you hear the candor in my voice?
I don't know. It doesn't sound sincere personally because I know you.
It was honest. It was unreserved. I didn't hold anything
this
back.
Sounds honest and unreserved. The other stuff sounded like and scene.
Okay, maybe I got to get tears. Is this better?
I'm done with you. Okay, pardon my candor, but your acting kind of sucks. Just saying.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Hers was just cutthroat. Mine was all fluff. Okay.
It was honest. It was
I'll work on my
sincere expression.
I will work on my candor. Okay.
There we go.
On my candor. Well, that's the word. If you guys want to feel free to be inspired by this word, use it in a poem this week and tag us. Let us know how this word inspired your poems, or it may inspire your week. It may inspire your relationship. Whatever. Use candor in your relationship. Don't give cap. Don't give fake stuff to the people that you love. So yeah. So we're gonna
do better in this world when we operate with candor anyway.
That's true. That is true.
Because then we know when we know real, But yes, you were about to ask, who do we see? Because that's my portion of the show. Who do we see? We see.
No, I was just going to ask you to smile.
No, you weren't.
And I was going to ask you to do your famous laugh. But I'm going to get that later on. So who do we actually see out in this poetry scene?
So I thought, I was trying to think about if I was going to go big and name some real names. Like, not saying nobody's name is real. But then I decided to take it personal today. So the poet that I'm going to talk about today, it's going to be a short, brief thing, but I was actually on their Black History event this weekend. And when they found out that I was having some moments, because last week's was tough. Like, not last 2 weeks, 2 weeks before last week was real tough. So they saw my post, they saw me going through it. And, most promoters would just be like, well, they're still going to have to do what they're going to do. They messaged me privately and were like, you good? Because we can postpone. And that's big. Like, most people don't actually care about the performance or the talent in terms of doing things like this. And so that was a big thing. And I met this person, 2019 probably, or 2018. Could have been 2018. I don't know. I met them at this event that another poet had asked me to come to out in Brooklyn. You know, Brooklyn's deep for a Bronx girl, but they're just really all heart. They're a very kind person, and they really are all about, you know, operating with a purpose and bringing poets together with that purpose. And so we have crossed paths a few times together. Exactly. We of course passed a few times together, whether it was at Langston Hughes' home when they did an event for themselves, or they were for their organization, or when we were both open micing at Salon 127 when that was a thing. And they're just like, they're a poet who operates in, they're a Christian poet and they're a faith-driven poet. And everything they do is all about making space for others and loving up on others. And in the conversation that they did for their Black History event, they had a workshop and we were talking about what's your purpose. And in that was what they were saying. Their purpose really was to make sure in their space that they are making space for everyone and making everyone feel welcomed. And I think there's very few hosts that really do that more excellently. So the We See You Poet this time is for a poet, an author, a blogger, a workshop facilitator, an event host, and just an awesome individual, Noel Figueroa, because he's just pretty dope. He's just pretty dope. He does really great things here in the city and online, and he's popping up everywhere to perform. He's amplifying his personal profile, but he's also, and he actually does he's really slick on how he amplifies his performances and where he's showing up. He's really good at identifying where he is open micing in a way that makes him look like he's featuring a lot of places. But he's also getting his features that way too. And he's amplifying other platforms, and he's always centering other people and other performers too. So he's definitely just a really good dude. He's just a good dude. And I'm glad that I can sit there and say, Noel Figueroa, we see you, because you're so busy seeing other people. I want you to know that we see you out here in these streets. Proud of you, celebrate you, keep being that anointed pen that you are, and keep operating Poets with a Purpose, because you're stepping into yours, and we appreciate you for all you're doing.
Big ups. I know him, of course, so big ups to my bro.
Yeah, I said it was personal. Like this time it was like, that's the person. There's so many poets we know. There's so many poets I can name personally for this to point out, but it was the right time to identify this person who's busy spotlighting so many other people that we needed to spotlight him.
Great. Okay, so thank you, Noel, for being dope. And what do we have next? Oh, well, we always see other people. Now we got to see ourselves into the spotlight a little bit. So, is it my go? Your go?
No, it's me.
Rock, paper, scissors. Say shoot. I got paper. Okay.
Oh, yeah, right. You put out scissors first.
No, I was saying deuces, two eyes.
No, you weren't doing deuces. You put out two.
I was saying
you
two
saw
eyes.
the fist, and you were like, "Oh, let me put out paper," thinking that I couldn't see the scissors.
Two eyes.
But that's okay. It's okay. I got you. You don't have to go first because I'm ready.
Yeah, be ready. Get ready. Already ready.
For my future husband.
Okay.
I love you. I love you. I love the way the sun enhances the deepness of your skin. The sun, though, be enemy, piquing my jealousy as I just wish to make you glow as it does. But alas, there'd be no winning competition there. So we share in keeping you aglow, and glow you do. Ooh, ooh, do I love you? I love you. And I so love that smile secretly plastered on your handsome face that only I get to see. You still refuse to smile in photos, though it's picture perfect to me. So I hold your picture tightly in my mind, remembering the times I brought you so much joy that you couldn't pretend to play tough. I know life be rough, but I do cherish these moments most. And I love the intensity of your mind. I just want to know all your thoughts, though sometimes they be too brilliant for my vision, be far from my comprehension. Your mind always plotting new realities of the world we wish to see. And the way your synapses spark make me want to steal sips from your well of knowledge. Your mind really be the sexiest thing. I love it. You and your arms. Your arms wrapped this frame like they were both named Saran wrap. Damn. To them, I always run and offer mine in return. Let mine be home base for you. Let them hold you when it feels like you are merely pieces. I will help piece you together. I be your piece and you be mine too. Remember that moment where we sheltered each other from the treacherous storm? Our love keeping us warm. That moment will be, hopefully. Honey, hold me. I wish to feel that embrace, your embrace in this place, in this moment. But the fact is, none of this is real. Our story be not reality, no matter how realistic my future memories feel to be. I mean, without even knowing you, I do love you. I long for you in these moments that I am certain our souls have had, but you were branded when you failed that one standardized test taken back in 3rd grade. Our path forever changed. Your path derailed before ever being paved. Your aspirations were flushed down pipes that deposited dreams behind bars or 6 feet deep, making it impossible for us to meet. So you could never hear me say, I love you. But no, my dear, my partner, my husband, I also miss you. I miss you as much as I love you. I mourn the loss of you and us, mourning more the life you didn't get to live, mourning because of that which kept us from meeting in the future. I hold to the hope of seeing you in the next reality, for this reality was never made, was never ready for our love, never ready for what this connection could birth. So we were forced to walk this earth separately. So we were forced to walk separately on this bitter fucking earth. But hun, no, I will always hold this love for you.
I have written thousands of poems filled with metaphors and similes, spectacular wordplay, and rhyme scheme strategies. I created poetry with destiny, gave birth to words that described, defined, analyzed, and composed my heart into stanzas to bleed legibly. But technically, this expression at its best could only express a portion of what you mean to me. Simple poetry was not enough. So I have excavated the dictionary geologically, utilized fossilized vocabulary to convey the timelessness, the depths, and the severity of the love residing within me for you. Then I ascended to roam the galaxy. With my astronomical creativity, I seek to locate the most unique form of life, just to have a comparison to compare to your rarity, because nothing in this world can. I have studied every sacred document in its entirety. I scoured their divinity and sanctity, practiced ritual and worship deity after deity just to make sure I thank each and every one of them for the blessing they gave to me, which is you. See, I contemplated, reflected, meditated, and concentrated constantly on every inch of your anatomy. See, I studied the physics and the movement of your body, square rooted coefficients written in equations of high complexity to find that anatomically speaking, You are beyond mathematics and biology. Your smallest quantity measured would be a solution with an integer equivalent to a squaring infinity. And there is no comparable species in existence that possesses your qualities or characteristics. So simplistically put, you can't be classified or measured. See, again, I have written thousands of poems before, filled with metaphors and similes, and I will have to write 1,000 more just to ensure that you remember and understand just how much you mean to me. I love you poetically. Thank you. I had to match your love. It's rare when I gotta jump on board when I see it, you know.
What are you trying to say?
Huh?
I
I'm
don't
just
know.
saying you don't have a book out here that has roses on it on the front, or don't pull out a book. You don't have a book with roses on the front.
But I have Casualty of Love, and the first half of the book is all romantic and loving.
Yes. That casualty part, though.
I know you would say that. I knew you were gonna say that.
No, great job. Yo, she's been sending me poems like for the last month now, and like all of them have been like touching this little soft spot. I was like, what? From the Bronx, the X, the people the girl that put up the X all the time. She got softness. Bricks don't have soft spots. What's she doing?
I'm sorry, you said what now?
I said bricks don't have soft spots.
First off, it's a political poem.
I saw that. But at the beginning, I knew you was gonna spin it on me, but it was because of the previous poems that you have sent to me that I fell for the fact that you were leading me along this nice little journey downstream to the waterfall into.
This was written in September. So it wasn't new. This is the old poem.
I know it wasn't. I know it. After you turned it on me, I knew it wasn't new because all the new stuff takes that stream where there's no waterfall, just calm waters with swans paddling beside.
Is that how I write, sir? Is that the new stuff you've heard?
They will never know. Is that the lies you're going to tell people? You never put that stuff out. You never know. They will never know.
I am not, for the record, I'm not putting the new stuff out because I'm trying to compete with the new stuff.
Oh, so, yeah. I forgot. Okay.
So that's why the new stuff is being under wraps. They're quiet.
So you'll be able to see her new stuff and the lovey-dovey stuff in the next edition of Amazing Writers Anthology. You know.
It all depends where and if these things can find a home. If they can find a home outside of my own stuff, then then that'll be what happens.
Oh man. Well, I'm not gonna mess with you anymore. About your softness. You know, it's okay. You can be soft sometimes. Okay, it's allowable.
I told you.
It's not banned in New York.
You don't believe in me that most of my poems are about relationships.
She gave me the statistics. I do my own statistics, and I've known her for 2 years now, and my statistics don't match hers. But hers, she has more data, so her data goes back years. So I'm only current.
Even so, I've been doing a 30 and 30 right now, and even my 30 and 30 right now, I've gone well, and you've seen the new stuff. But my 30 and 30, yesterday I was catching up. One was about self, so it wasn't about love, but it was about love because it was about me pursuing love in the state of whatever. And then the other one was about what's going on in Ukraine. So, you know, I ebb and flow. I can, a good poet,
a good
writer can ebb and flow between stuff. It ain't just one or the other. We don't be getting pigeonholed and stuff.
I'm not saying that you don't and can't. I know you can and do.
I mean, remember, I'm also an erotic poet. I'm part of the Honey Drippers for a
Yes, she
reason.
is.
I
Yep.
own my own space in
That's a
there for
totally
a
different
reason.
side, though. That's a totally different side.
But she does exist. She does
But
not
let's
exist.
moving on. Since we're talking about the pen and 30 and 30s and all of that stuff, what is inspiring our pen? So I'm gonna go first, I guess, since I'm on there first. I don't know if that was
So what's
correct.
inspiring your pen, Tonii? What's making you write? What's got you
Nothing
writing?
at all.
Is it
I'm
your
not
recent
writing.
nuptials? Is it because you just got married? Congratulations, Tonii.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
You know,
goodness.
it has. You know, it's gonna come out. So is that inspiring any of your writing at all?
Absolutely yes, no. I haven't picked up the pen since I got married, but if once I
So long
do,
ago.
I mean, I'm working on two projects right now. One is an erotic book, and then the other is the continuation to my previous book, which is called Reflection. So it's looking it's continuing this where her left off, where this self-love and you know after the whole story, you look in the mirror and you're like, wow, it was supposed to be there the whole time. So now I'm continuing with that. Some new poems, some recycled poems. So whenever I
Are
get
you
time to
recycling from her? Okay.
no. Recycling as in old. I'm not writing poems
You're using stuff that's already in
specifically
your
for the
catalog.
book. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm doing both. So um I'm working on that, trying to pull that together by the fall. The erotic book should be a little bit easier, but I want to it's going to be shorter as well. I want to try to get that out in by the summer. Turn up the hot girl summer, hot boy something. Is that hot boy summer? I don't know. Whatever. It's gonna be real hot, real hot. Take you on a dark, mysterious, erotic journey through foreplay to
You know
going
what thought I
in,
just had?
penetration, masturbation. What? What'd you say?
I said, you know what thought I just had?
What thought?
But we can't do it. I was like, that's how you get to publish my writing. So we should do a combined erotic book.
Oh, that's how I get you to get on to. I have to actually sign my name on it too.
Yeah.
Okay, that project just actually started. It just happened right now, and it just started. So, for all of those that witnessed this, you have just witnessed history in the making. And go follow us because that project is going to be out next year. So go ahead and yeah, there you go. Follow. We look forward to that. Now, what's inspiring your pen?
Yeah, so I did it 30 and 30. I'm in the middle of it. I got 3 more days to go. I did not write today's poem. I have to write today's, tomorrow's, and the day after. So 3 more days. Huh?
I'm just throwing out keywords. Love, romance.
Oh yeah, no, the next one's gonna be like, I'm gonna burn down the flowers that we were building together, right? Because that's where I am now. I give up all the cute, lovely stuff. You were forward. Is that what I'm gonna write next? No.
Cardboard house.
So we'll see what those next poems are. But so as always, current events. But so I just got back from a retreat. I was just in New Mexico with Natalie Goldberg again. And I spent a week in theory silent, minus when we were working together. And it was hard. It was hard. That retreat is
harder than before.
It's a hard retreat. Because here's the thing. People will be like, oh, so you're having a good time? Because for some reason when they hear retreat, they think you're doing like the spa relaxation thing.
I mean, that's what normally happens.
This is like you go into the trenches of your mind and you fight and you write and you get carpal tunnel and your sit bones hurt from sitting all the time. Like, it's painful. It's physically painful retreat. It is a I was in physically so much pain the entire retreat. It's ridiculous. We were in the mountains, so we've been sucking on green chlorophyll pills for the last month to be able to survive. Because the mountains, like, so what I didn't realize, New York is 33 feet above sea level. Like, we're at sea level. Where I was 7,100 something feet above sea level.
Mm-hmm.
My lungs ain't made for that. I took 2 steps and I was winded. The air is so thin. What was really dope, because we are so high, guess who was taking pictures of stars from her cell phone? Like, you can't take pictures of stars from your cell phone at 33 feet. But at 7,100 feet, you can, apparently.
You can take them. Yeah.
And
it's a different type of night.
And on the right night, when you like star, you can touch it. You know, you can get those pictures. So it was like that. The retreat's not easy. People think you're going, it's going to be silent, it's going to be peaceful. And it was really hard. And I think it's hard because we've all been in isolation. So really what we wanted was not to be in isolation. And we get there, we're in isolation.
Of course. Well, you knew that.
Yeah, but I don't think we realized how isolating, how it was. I don't think most of us realized it was an extension of the isolation. When we registered to be there, we were all like, we're going to be around people we know. We're going to be around our fellow writers. It's going to be amazing. But we got there and it was like, well, I'm not even able to talk to my fellow writers. And you're in a mask all the way over there, and I'm in a mask all the way over here, and I can't hug you because I can't even ask you for permission because we're not talking. You know?
Yeah.
This is very, it was a tough emotional thing. And then you're in your head writing about really painful things. Like, we wrote about very painful things, but I broke through and wrote about something I don't write about ever. I write about in poetry. I don't write about it in prose. And I did that. And that was really, really hard. It was a really tough point in time. But that's the point of going. We're writing ugly things. And we're writing like, I hate writing. Why are we here? What are we doing here? Why am I this event again? And then the end is helpful. So I wrote this really dope poem about sitting under a sconce. But it was still like public. It was still,
What'd you say it was?
Sitting under a sconce.
Oh, I thought you said a word, and I was like, yeah, I thought that was one word. I thought you was like sinister sconce. I was like, what? But I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you go.
A sconce.
Got you. Okay.
So, but like, if you're sitting under a sconce and there's a spider web, you're sitting under a death trap.
Oh.
Just think about that. Because what is a spider web? It's a death trap.
Yeah.
So I wrote a poem about that. And so the thing, I walked a labyrinth. And I think it was the first time I've ever actually walked a labyrinth. And that was really cool. So I wrote a poem about that. And so I think I was just taking the experience which I was having, because the whole point of mindfulness and the whole point of the trip, I mean, she's a Buddhist practitioner. She's a Buddhist teacher. The whole paradigm of her teaching is all about being, it is a writing practice is an extension of Buddhist practice. And so I'm not Buddhist, but it is still part of that. And so it was all about being present and being mindful. So I was writing poems from a point of mindfulness. And so different texture of writing, different tone of writing. And that was cool. So that's what inspired my pen this last month, the 30 and 30, the being present in what I was doing, feeling, experiencing, what I was wanting, what I was craving while away. And that's where some of those poems you were reading were coming from. When you're not able to touch another human, you start writing about the desire to touch another human. And so it doesn't even have to be inspired by somebody. It's just the want of another point of contact. So
yeah, that's
what was inspiring me. We'll see what happens next month. I'm sure with all the crap going on in this world, I'm not going to be lacking.
Not at all.
Wow. But what's really dope is so I'm going to tell people this. because of how I and this could even be sliding into words of wisdom a little bit, like maybe not, we'll see. But in that, if you choose to do a 30 and 30, here's how I do my 30 and 30 for 30 poems and 30-day challenge. I always want to write a poem a day. That is really what a 30 and 30 challenge is for me. So if I write 2 poems today, I still have to be writing a poem tomorrow. So the way in which I count, if I write 2 poems today, is that I wrote 1 and 1.5. And then tomorrow I still have to write 2.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yesterday I wrote 2, but it was because I didn't write the day before 2. So then I still had to write whatever yesterday's date was. So that was yesterday's 26th. Well, 27th, I missed the 26th. So I wrote 26 and 27 because I was behind. But right now, even though I'm doing a 30 and 30, I have definitely over like 35 poems written so far. Because of that, my goal really is to write a poem every day. And so anything extra I write does not count to my next count unless I fall behind. So I challenge you to, when you do a 30 and 30, don't just stop at 30. Find ways to keep writing more. Find ways to write every day. So even if you're ahead of it, see what you can do and push yourself to keep writing even more than that.
Right. Good advice. Words of wisdom that I would say comes from, we just did our Poets Award, and the feeling that I got from just seeing this award. And for those that don't know, the Poets Award is brought to us by Poetics University, which was the organization that I started back in 2020, and we now just celebrated our 2nd annual Poets Award, which recognizes and honors the professors as well as the students from the past year. And I was sitting there and just looking at, as the awards were being given in the I think it was the specials awards, and how,
By
like,
specials awards, he means, so what happens is
sorry.
professors give away an award to their prize student of sorts. And then there's also these category awards that are just like, the Guardian Angel Award, the Persistence Award, which is just something that there's attributes that we see our students having. And so I think those are the ones you're talking about now, right?
Yeah.
Award.
So that was being given out, in after the person gets called up on the Zoom, then they basically kind of shared, how much it meant and stuff like that. And I think it was the Tanika's, and she was saying how, she was in a dark place when she started Poetics University, and how much it meant to her, not just, the writing and poetry, but her as a person, because as writers, the pen is just an extension of the person. And what I realize is that when you start something, if you have an idea, if you have something that you want to do and it's in your gut, it's in your feeling, and Dara knows that I'm one that if it's there, then it's coming out and getting started, because I've realized that it is a ripple starter. When you create something and bring it into fruition, you may not even know, like, you may not even see it. You may start it and give up on it and just say, I'm done. But the ripple has already started. Someone has seen it, or someone will see it in the future. It will be an old thing that you pull out and your grandchildren see it, or your children see it. And it then continues to go out into the world, and then their efforts or their creativity or whatever they seek, or they may just, you may pass on a baton, and it may go forward to another generation. And so whenever you have something inside, you see something that is deficient in, that the world is deficient in, or you see something that people could actually use, or it it could be simple as maybe another person at your job. It may not be as big as the world when you actually get the vision. It may just be as simple as I need to help this person out by doing this. And when you have that feeling, go out and pursue it. You may fall flat on your face. You may do it and it only helps a couple of people, and then you just don't have the resources to continue it. But understand that it's always a ripple, and those things will continue to ripple out into eternity. And you can, it's in your stories. It will be part of your story. You will be talking to someone and be like, yeah, I did that once, and this and this and this and that, and you don't know where those words will take you. And so that's the same thing I would say with your writing. If you have the words on your heart, if you have the words in your mind, put them down, write them down, because someone in the past, historically, decided that they were not going to just live life. They were actually going to document it on a cave. And that was the birth of this thing that we call writing or recording. And now it ripples into everything that we know, script writing, with movies, all of that, music, all of that came from, well, I mean, music was already there, but far as how we know of it today, where you can have lyrics on a YouTube video, you can have, all of that started from a particular human deciding to not just, live life the way that everyone else has, but they decided to do something different, and it made the world of a difference. So continue to make your ripple in this world.
So just building on that, two things came to mind. One of the things when, and I've been quoting this for a while now, when Erykah Badu and Jill Scott did their verses, Jill Scott was talking about, like, once you make that thing, go share it, because you can't be stingy. It's the world's now. So as much as I'm like holding on to my poetry, it's only so that I can find the right place to put it into the world, not because I'm trying to hold on to it necessarily, right? So the world needs it, share it, put it out into the world. But also there was something else, and this is for yourself. So there's a Buddhist teacher, Shinru Suzuki Roshi. I'm hoping I said that his name correctly. And I'm not going to get the quote correctly, but one of the ones that was driven back home to us this last week, was about the definition of nirvana. A student asked the teacher, what's the definition of nirvana? And the answer was seeing a thing through to its completion, which is even just finishing that poem, finishing that thought, finishing that action, seeing it done. Because one, now you have felt nirvana, having completed that thing, and then you don't know what that thing now means for someone else out there in the world. So building on both of those ideas.
Yeah. Love it. So that actually would lead to, well, it doesn't lead to the frustration. Mine is going to lead to the let's talk about it. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
What you want to talk about, Tonii? What you got to talk about?
It's along the same lines that I just talked about.
Stop being stingy.
No. It's don't believe in yourself.
Don't believe in yourself? No.
I'm sorry. I said don't. I didn't mean to say don't. It was going to be the start of a sentence, but then I backspace, but you didn't see that. So believe in yourself. There are so many people that are so hesitant, and that also came from that meeting. The awards, because I remember some of these people that were like, I don't know if unsure about their talent, or I don't know if I can do that. Or they, before coming to Poetics U, they had gone years of writing and never shared it with people because they didn't they didn't know if it was good or not. It was like, yeah, I write, but I don't. And then that thing that I think we talked about that before. Like, are you a writer? Are you a poet? Like, not being sure about yourself, but believe in yourself. That's the first person. A lot of people walk around waiting for the first person to believe in their stuff when they don't. And I think it's the same thing with love. Like, how is someone going to love you completely and you don't love yourself completely? Like, how all they're going to be doing is you're going to be using them to fill voids because you haven't filled them yourself, and that's not true love. So it's the same thing. Belief. Like, how can you ask somebody to believe in something if you don't believe in it? If you have like, I always ask if I'm buying when I went in to buy a car, like, I'm like, what kind of car do you drive? And if you don't have the car that I'm actually, or the dealer, I'm sorry, if you don't have the brand of the car that I am actually buying from you, like, hold up, like, why do you have a foreign car when you are selling American cars? Like, no. Like, I need you to believe enough in this to have it yourself. And it's the same thing with the confidence. If you get up on the mic and you're like waiting for a ooh or ah, or snaps and all that stuff before you actually know that the words that you're saying is powerful beyond all measure, before you actually step out there and with your chest held and your head up, speak your words. Like, don't rely on other people to give that to you. That is something that you have to show up to the party with. So it's not really a frustration. The frustration is I see a community, or I see people do it all the time, and I want them to know that they are who they are. First of all, you don't have to try to be someone else. So you're going to be you. That's what you have to start with. You're you. You also have a story. You also have something unique. You also felt, the feeling to actually write it, to not just write it down in a journal, but also write poetry, craft it. So speak it. Do what you have been called to do in your heart, and do it with confidence. Believe in yourself.
It's interesting. I have a lot of feelings and thoughts on that. I
Uh-oh.
do. I
mean,
do.
Contrary.
No,
She
I
don't
have
want you to believe in yourself.
I think it's so much harder than just saying that. And I think there's so many reasons at play, right? Like I'm gonna sound all types of ways to people right now.
Uh-oh.
There's two different things at play depending who you are. And there's probably more than that, right? But there's ego stuff, right? And depending which paradigm or school of thought you're in, like Buddhist or in that teaching, there's monkey mind. And it's
Look at her.
really,
She done went on for a retreat. We
now
have
I've been talking
3
about monkey mind for a few
references to
years now.
Buddhism now.
I've been talking about monkey mind for a few years now, but it's a thing. But I talk about it as cousin to imposter syndrome. They're not exactly the same, but they're very, very close. And monkey mind is not necessarily, you can use any other name for what you want to use it as, but essentially it's the protective part of your makeup that teaches you to be small, to be safe. And so it'll always sort of build up when you're afraid to be big, right? When you're about to do something big. It's even like that fear that you feel when you're almost about to, and it's not exactly the same, but it's, that physical fear you may feel when you're about to try to do something big, when you're about to walk in and talk to your boss about something big on your behalf or something, and you start feeling that anxiety. It's all that same place, right? Of like, can I really do this? Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe it's that tug of war, and it's all a protective thing. It's all protection for you to try to not hurt yourself or be embarrassed to step out or do any of that stuff. And so we have to acknowledge it, and then acknowledge that that's what it's doing, and then keep going past it. But too many of us get stuck there. And even with imposter syndrome, there's so much that feeds into it. And one of my friends who's a therapist has said the only person who doesn't really, and it's not exactly true, but it is kind of true, the only person who doesn't have imposter syndrome is cishet white men.
Is what kind of white?
Cishet white men.
Cishead?
Cisgendered heterosexual. Cishet.
Oh, cishet? That's what they call it?
Cis, CISHET. So cisgender heterosexual white.
Oh, it's abbreviations. Okay. I'm like, I've heard the whole word spelled.
So those are the only ones who tend not to get imposter syndrome. But these are also people who walk in and apply to jobs that they are nowhere near level for. And they're like, yeah, I can do it. I'll figure it out. And they get the job, right? We are sort of trained, no, we have to have every credential. And we're also grilled for not having every credential. So then we go get 500,000 degrees and do all the work and learning and training to try to get in. We still don't get it with all that studying, learning and training and history, you know? So like, there's this, so then when we do something that we're like, we ain't even doing anything spectacular. And they're like, oh, but you're doing great. And we're like, I literally just unscrewed the cap. What do you mean? I just amazing. They're like, no, but that was amazing. So then we feel like an imposter because we're getting praised for that, but we had to do all this other work to get praised for that. So it's a mind F, right? It's a complete mind F that happens to us. But it's all this like protective energy that's wrong and misplaced. And so I agree with you. I agree with you that we have to believe in ourselves and we have to do better than that, right? But we also have to understand before we can believe in ourselves, we have to understand where that programming is coming from. We have to look at that programming. Like when you did your Believe class, right? You made us look at all of our hurts and some of the worst things that ever happened to us poetically. And then we sat there and was like, okay, now I see it. Now I make beautiful poetry out of it and I'm gonna put it away because now I've dealt with that a little bit, right? And this is what you do in therapy. You look at the things that you look at the things that are hurting you or the things that like made your foundation of thought and belief. Because is it a belief or is it a fact? Is it a belief or is it truth? Like, is it real or is it just something you've programmed yourself to believe?
Yeah. And
that's so yes, believe in yourself, but you have to figure out why you even don't believe in yourself first. So that you can undo those thought processes and understand that like somebody needs your writing. And those things are not going to go away overnight. And those things will still continue to happen. And they'll continue to happen the rest of your life because some of it is naturally ingrained in us humans to not touch fire, to not necessarily, once we hear, don't stick stick metal into an outlet, we know not to do it. And this is the same type of natural things that are ingrained in us to some extent. So it's going to keep coming up forever, but we need to know, okay, that's what that is. I see what that is. I'm gonna keep going now.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting there and being stuck, but we have to be able to name what that resistance is first, or what that programming is so that we can deprogram it, or at least go, okay, got it, moving forward now.
Yeah.
So that's why I completely agree with you that we need to believe in ourselves, but we need to figure out why we don't believe in ourselves first.
I would add one of the words that you mentioned is program, and a lot of the time, like I remember being into one of the multi-level marketing company businesses, one of those.
MLMs are
they're so special. I was in Primerica.
I'm sure you were.
Yeah. So I had gotten to a high level in there, had people under me and all that stuff. You know me, talking to people and stuff like that. But this was a decade or more ago. But inside, and my dad was actually in Amway growing up, so I knew the whole thing.
I remember Amway.
So my dad will always be listening to the tapes. Will always be listening to the it's a program, and so I also listen to motivational speakers and all that stuff, and listen to the whole little talks by people when I was in the business, and now that I'm not in the business, now I have to do it on my own. It's not like something that you can have a tape for, but we have YouTube and we have podcasts and we have all of these things, and these are ways to actually program yourself, to start thinking of things beyond, concentrating on, the negative stuff. Because a lot of times, if we're by ourselves, isolated, we think about the negative things. And when you actually place those things into your ears, into your face, your eyes, doing it's programming yourself. So, and it's not to negate what you were saying, because I think what one of the key things that you were talking about is being intentional, about it, about looking at what why you don't believe in yourself. And because I'm not saying to just go on, it's just going to snap like this, and you start believing in yourself. But one thing, identify that you don't believe in yourself. And then I feel that the next step is to start programming or reprogramming that thing. Because if you also go deeper into, you don't believe in yourself, why don't you believe in yourself? What occurred to you? Because some people have some, childhood thing. I think I realized there was something in my childhood that made me do something, and I was like, I didn't realize it until I was intentionally paying attention to it, and like, oh wow, that's why I do that, And so some people may not like the stage because, when they were 5, they were forced to go onto a stage and they missed their lines and they ran off stage and they never addressed it again. So it's really, and when you actually start listening to like the positive things, and I think it's kind of like, I used to equate it to church. Like when you go to church, you're listening. Like I used to be there. I could know the next sentence. I could know the Bible verse. I could know all of that. So it was always a reminder of what you needed to do, of like staying positive. Okay, things happen in your life. Know that this is this. Don't think about, that's what the sermons and that's what the messages were. They were kind of just reminders. Everybody in the church, most of the people in the church was Christians. So it wasn't like he was preaching to, somebody that didn't know these things. But, it was, and that's the same way I approach, try to put myself in this kind of, in this place where I'm being reminded, that, oh, I can do everything. Because sometimes even me, I do a lot of stuff, but sometimes I get to the point where I'm actually thinking like, oh, I probably should just stop. And then I'm like, no. And then I put myself back into, working on this and seeing this, or I go and read the comments on Poetics Use, Instagram page, or I may even create a post just to see what is to see. Oh, actually, we're still impacting people. Like some of the prompts and stuff, the posts that I create, it would be like just to get a little, test on, are we still making an impact? And then we get 50, 60 comments, people liking, sharing. And I'm like, okay, this is still impacting people. And so, yeah, I'm done.
So let's talk about it, because I just think we should talk about it. Because me, I'm not going to let a conversation about racism go away, especially on today, the last day of Black History Month, even though we're talking about America, music about Black History Month. Yo, this mess in Ukraine is messy. Have you been paying attention to what's been going on over there?
I'm not up to date. I'm not current. I know that they're supposed to be talking, and I watched a little bit about it. And then I know about NATO, and and the reason why Russia is doing this or why they said it, why he said he was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I know though. I haven't gotten anything today.
But have you gotten to the racism part of it?
What you mean, like black race or race between?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I saw something like they were not gonna let black people go on a bus from Ukraine to Poland or something like that.
Exactly. So I definitely wrote a poem about that. Because I mean, it's just so fascinating that they're literally being attacked by Russia right now, right? Ukraine is under attack by Russia, and these people are trying to flee. All the people and who are not part of this mess or don't want to be part of this, don't want to be bombed, or don't want to be in it. In Ukraine are trying to flee to the borders and get to these other countries nearby and get out of there. But when you happen to not be fully European looking, they've been running into issues at the borders. Black folks have been told to get off the bus as they near the border. And there's a bunch of other people of color. Apparently, even in Ukraine, there's a video, and I can't say anything about this for sure. And you know, the source is sometimes questionable. But Sean King was posting videos yesterday about even Ukrainian supremacists were dipping their bullets in lard so they can shoot Muslim folks.
Wow.
Because you know, lard is made of pork.
Yeah, made of pork.
Yeah. Talk about the xenophobia and racism happening. Like, who has time to be extra racist in the middle of the beginning of a war? Like, I mean, this is not even about that. This is not that war. And yet, it's like, no darkies, no darkies, no Muslims. We gonna shoot you in lard just to make sure we screw up your whole like what? So we're gonna just be extra disrespectful, like.
Wow.
So like a whole bunch of black folks are sort of like, yeah, we here, and
so this is Poland actually doing this, rejecting them.
Yeah, supposedly. Now there's been some other reports that some Polish people are letting there's been some other talks with diplomats supposedly that this is being resolved now. But like just the whole level of racism that's happening tied to like how racist can we be? How racist can this world get?
Wow.
That everyone's fleeing in a friggin' war. And they're like, nah, we can't take y'all.
Wow. I mean, that's
but
closer to the origin of the people that started the whole movement towards slavery and racism and all that stuff. So
it is insane. Humans are trash.
I'm not surprised by this though. I'm not surprised.
So the whole thing with Europe, generally speaking, and just that whole part of the world is so hilarious to me. How they play this two-sided thing, because we actually were having a conversation. I'm switching countries now, not tying to this issue now, but during the week we were having a conversation around France. And France, I think France ran into this issue with Trevor Noah some years ago, right? When it came to the soccer, football, and about like, no, but they're French.
Yeah.
I was like, but yeah. And then, but we saw during the Olympics, right, that the basketball player or whatever was being called the N-word. Like, I'm just so fascinated by all these places around the world who pretends like they don't have racism. And then you have continuing exhibitions of it that cannot be denied. And they just think it's an American issue.
No.
Like these places,
it's not an American issue.
All seem to think that America's the only one with this issue.
This was this was an African issue before it was a American issue.
And so,
Actually, it probably even goes before that. Like it was. Well, I mean, Africa is the the probably the place where it actually started.
well, I mean,
Egypt has had its share.
I just think it's so fascinating the ways in which some of these places would like to profess themselves as being not problematic, and
Yeah,
yet
they.
here they are. You have a whole bunch of people of color trapped in rooms with no food or water and no ways to get out of these war-torn places.
Yeah.
You have these places that say, because of what happened in Nazi Germany or all of these other histories, we're not going to ask for ethnicity anymore. So we're going to pretend like we're all the same, but we're not going to treat us all the same. That's going back to France again. Like we have all these like policies that are not really addressing the fact that these places are really messed up. And this is not just in America. And so I want to say to the rest of the world, welcome to realizing that you got problems that y'all need to address. Like y'all, this whole planet's messed up. And I want y'all to take a moment. I want y'all to take several seats and sit down and realize that we can see you. When buses are being told to kick off your passengers who are fleeing being murdered because of bombs dropping, or when you have, supremacists on your own country dipping their bullets in lard, I'm gonna need y'all to start sitting here, sit down and consider that y'all have multiple problems.
Yeah.
And a lot of Black folks are like, well, we never want to see anybody oppressed. We don't want to see any of this happening. Simultaneously, like, yeah, I don't know if I could have a say on any of this. So the dopest thing that came out of last week in doing this trip is that she started using this thing, and Natalie's been on this haiku thing. That's her thing. She has a book, 3 Simple Lines, where she's exploring finding the ancestry of the founders of haiku. She loves reading haiku. Now she's writing haiku. But so I had to look it up real quick. Stephen Colbert from the Late Night Show.
Oh yeah.
He does Meanwhile, and that's his thing, right? And so that's one of his sketches is Meanwhile. And so I started doing that. I wrote 2 poems like that already. I did a Meanwhile, and then I did another one that's like, as something happened, as something, or like, I don't know what I wrote, but
Meanwhile,
I did that. Is that same like, well, these other things were happening, and it started the poem that way.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, oh, at the same time. And then I did that with the and I titled the poem On the World Stage, but I said at the same time on the other side. And then I continued and wrote a whole poem about like this whole like effed up situation that we're finding ourselves in on the other side of the planet. Because like, I just cannot believe, I think it's so funny that everyone looks at us like we have this problem. And like, y'all seems to showing.
Well, I don't think, I think it's, I think we feel like we're the only ones that have this problem. But like South America has it worse than us. Like they have it. I feel they have it worse than us. Their history was not as gruesome, because of the fact that it was, they didn't have the same setup like we did with slavery, because they were more Spanish and Portuguese, and we were more, British, Great Britain. But their effects as far as poverty I think is worse. The gap in poverty is a lot greater,
Well,
and it's based off of skin color.
yeah, I'm not saying that. Every place. Here's the thing. I hear what you're saying. I think immediately you say South America, no matter what country you're speaking of, generally speaking, it is still a place more identified as a place of color.
What, South America?
Yes.
No.
Most countries you don't think of are countries of color?
Oh, color as color as in our sense of color, but like that's because our like we have majority white here, but I mean they have majority mixed,
Yeah.
but their
So
mixture is based off of
yeah.
black
So
and white.
okay. My point being is
But they're
I'm
Spanish
thinking,
white, so I don't know what you mean. Like, is a Spanish white person here white, or is he is he of color?
yeah, okay. So anyway, my point being, Tonii, that any countries touched by colonialism and tampered with
Hmm.
by what has been done, thanks to some other people who felt the time to divide up all the world,
Hmm.
primarily Europe. Europe is often the group who thinks they do not have these issues.
Mm.
And my point is, and what we are seeing right now is that they do.
Yeah.
These other places know they do. Even if you just talk about the Caribbean, they know they do. They ain't talking about it. They know they do.
Yeah.
They all know they do to some extent.
Hmm.
But these places are like, no, like we're good. But again, you're in the middle of a war and you're kicking people off buses.
I
They,
mean, Black Lives Matter. I think that's why it was widespread. Was because we know that
yep,
or that's when it started being vocalized in other countries, in the European countries as well. Um, and I
well, yeah,
think this would be a good time for that to start back up for the international platform,
and I think
because this.
I think that's why you see a lot of people right now saying something, because you see a lot of people right now, you see a lot of your American Black folk going like, whoa, hold up, what now? Say that again.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see, there's a lot of platforms on social media amplifying the fact that these people are being left in the cold
Yeah.
in the middle of this daggone situation that's happening over there.
Yeah.
Because apparently not everyone's being allowed to leave. And so that, generally speaking, is like, I just want these places that think that this is above them or not in their past or not part of their current world. I just want them to sit down, take 5,000 seats, and realize they still got some problems they need to work out.
Hmm.
That's all. And I mean, and I think for us artists, this is my challenge to artists though, because we are poets. When we write these things, because that's what we're going to do, we report on what's happening currently. If and when we choose to write about these things, I challenge you to find a way to write about it that's not dated. You can write about it in a way that's dated, but understand those are the poems that don't last. So how do you write about it in a way that will have legs a year from now when this event is forgotten?
Mm.
So that's my challenge to you. How do you write it? And I don't know that my poem that I wrote last week or yesterday, will have legs in a little bit, But the poem that I wrote about the death trap above my head, I purposefully dated it. I dated it because it was a dated poem. And when I wrote it, it was a dated poem.
Yeah.
But I dated it so that it was, I literally put the date in it so that I immediately dated it so that it could still have legs in the future,
Hmm.
because I've placed it in its point in time in which it existed. But poems get old really fast when we write about current events. So good luck to you guys to you guys and gals and non-binary individuals who choose to take the challenge of writing about this.
Yeah.
Let's see how you do it and have it still have legs in a couple of weeks. Good luck. So
Well,
that's
great.
why let's talk about it. The world is funny.
If you guys have anything else to share about it, please continue the conversation. Let's have the conversation in the comments or DM us if you want to talk about it privately. um, it always has a better effect when you get other people's opinions. Well, sometimes sometimes people be just dropping nonsense, but please do drop it in the comments so that we can see it and we can continue the discussion. But now it's time for my favorite part of the episode.
Announcements.
No. Oh, I skipped.
You
Sorry.
clearly did.
Yep.
So
It's not my favorite part of the but it is a good part, announcements, see what we have going on. So, Dara, what's going on with you first?
So my book, Still Laughing, I can't believe how quickly time has gone. It is a year old in a couple of weeks. In a couple of weeks, it'll be a year old. So by the time we record this, right after we record this next episode, I'll be doing a birthday event for it, or a celebration, or a book talk. So a good friend of mine and I, J.R. McDonald, who is I don't remember what words we used to describe him, but he's not a motivational speaker. He's another type of speaker, but he inspires you. He is going to. I can see your cell phone.
You can?
Huh? So
It was right there. Yeah.
my friend JR and I are going to have a conversation about the book, the journey to it, what has happened since, because so much has happened since, and so much has happened since, and what it was like to write it, and just the process. It's been an interesting process. It's been an interesting reflection period since then. And so,
Award?
huh?
Award winning?
It became an award-winning book, so that's super dope. And there's a lot, and there's stuff like I don't or do regret. I have some feelings about the book, and I want to, like, we're just gonna sit there and have a conversation. We've been friends for probably almost 10 years or so. I don't really remember how long I've known this guy, but we're pushing 10 probably. And so he's a fun individual, and I think I'm a fun individual. So we'll see how the conversation goes. Join us on the 30th to
It's not fun.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Huh? I said you're so much fun.
Okay, thank you. So he and I are gonna have a conversation about the book. And so if you haven't gotten your copy of Still Laughing yet, please do that. And let's just start talking. Let's talk about the book and see what comes of that. So that's what's coming up for me. There's some other stuff I'm doing these days, but we're not announcing all that stuff. My hands are in a lot of things. Hopefully I'll get closer to announcing some other stuff soon. And we'll see. Whatever. I'm always humble about the things I do. I got in trouble for that with during the retreat. It was like, but what about, you should tell people that. It's not what I do. It's not what. Yeah. So I'm probably bad at that. What you got coming up, Tonii?
So 2i Publishing is still continuing our third series of the BYOBB. So it's most Thursdays. It's not every Thursday. There's some dates that are skipped, but most Thursdays you can go to the website to see which ones are coming up. But we have a bring your own book and bottle book reading event. It's kind of a book club style where the author is leading their own book club where you can discuss, you can share, uh, just listen, read the book that is selected from the author that wrote the book. They come and they actually deliver words, and you have discussions. And that's pretty much what it is. I'm like really selling it horrible right now, but you go if you go to our page, if you go to our website, you'll be able to see who's coming up. There's also on our IG, there's advertisements about the roster of authors that are coming. So please go, and that is sponsored by a good friend of mine now. His name is Coviello, and he owns Amor Genève, which is the world's first naturally blue wine. So you want to check them out. And if you go order a bottle, you will get 20% off by using my code II Blue, and go support him. He's also a black owned company. So my bottle is on the way. I re-up
Yeah,
every 2 weeks.
I think mine just I think mine arrived while I was traveling. I'm not exactly sure. I did finally get notification that it was shipping, even though I didn't realize they have been backlogged. So I got notification it was shipping before I left.
Hmm.
But I don't know if it arrived because I wasn't here. So
Yeah.
my my super was holding my packages for me. So
Oh, okay, got you.
I haven't seen him today, and I won't see him probably until Thursday.
Oh,
So
okay.
hopefully it's here because I look forward to getting my wine on again.
Yep. So we also have simple services, which if you're looking to create a book, if you're looking to publish a book out into the world, but you want to basically control most of the things, but you just need help with putting the book together. We are here at 2 Publishing through Simple Services, which is an initiative headed by yours truly, Dara Kalima. She has joined the team at 2 Publishing to head up that, and it's something that she's passionate about. She's a four-time self-published author. So, and as she just stated, her last book was award-winning. So she's actually an award-winning author now. So please do take advantage of this opportunity where you can get that big brother feel to your publishing experience, self-publishing experience. The other thing is we have a new book coming out. We have actually several books in the lineup, but the one that I'm very excited about is the next one. Is our first novel. It's going to be by It is by T.J. McGowan, or as you may know him, the Everyday Bite, and he has put together an amazing story that will have you on the edge of every page flipping. It is a
Cannot wait.
science, it's a science fiction thriller based, and he's taking you into a whole different world like you have never seen. Or I mean, you're still in this world, but he's taking you on a journey that goes beyond world, beyond time. It's something that I am proud of personally, because he came to me with a novella, and I was like, no, we want to push you further. And so he opened up and allowed the process to happen, and he now has a full-blown novel that I feel can easily be on a bestseller list, if the right avenues hears about it, and maybe even a movie. I'm going to speak that into existence because it is quite the read. So so that book is coming out. We also have a couple of more that's coming after that. So please do stay tuned. We have Elemental PQRS, which is Elemental P is my clothing company, and the QRS part is a new initiative that we just started to help people actually create their own brands and their own design. So it's like a collaboration um, kind of approach where you can make a few designs. We set you up with a web page on our website where you where people can go and buy your specific product and or merchandise, and then we have an arrangement with you as far as sales and things of that nature. So if you're trying to get started, you don't just like simple, you don't know how to get started, you don't know where to turn to. you can turn to Elemental P and we'll help you out. So that's Elemental P Co on Instagram, CO. And if you just reach out to me if you want to know more information about that. I think that's pretty much it. Back to you, Dara.
Perfect. Back to me. Back to me. I don't think it's back to me because this is also your favorite part now.
Top of the dome.
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 Dome.
Top of the dome. So it is that time of the episode where we are going to take 5 random words from the day's podcast plus the word of the episode. And we're going to do an impromptu poem straight off the dome, from the top of the dome. And the words for this episode was candor. But throughout this time that we have been talking, we have accumulated monkey, 30, elevation, intentional, and touch. So these are the words. Who is first?
I'll go first because I just came up with one sentence that knocks them all out. I don't remember the one sentence.
You've been trying to do this for weeks, months, years.
But I'm gonna knock this out as fast as I can because there's no other way to do this.
Okay.
Pardon my candor, but you made me wanna monkey around with you. Do 30 things with you. Us together sparking in our salivation glands and do all sorts of things that bring us to a new elevation. And the ways I plan to touch you will be intentional if you consent, because we won't do anything that's not consensual, but it will be sensual. I hope you don't mind my candor on what I plan to do with you for the next few hours. Do you?
Pardon my candor. But I love the way your eyes blink. I love the way your mind thinks. And I love the way your lips moving makes me sink into a jungle. And I am a monkey hopping around on trees at different elevations that people can now not see, and then see me through the leaves. And now I am trying my best to count to 30, and 1, 2, 3 moments pass, and I still am looking at your face, down to your neck, down to your collarbone, and your breast. And I look back at your lips and then move back down to your hips, legs. And as you pass, you know that I'm looking at that. My assets are going up at different elevations, and it's intentional. See, I want you to be part of my portfolio. I want to touch you and make stocks rise. I want to see gold and riches within your eyes. I said, pardon my candor. Everything that I am saying is unreserved, honest, and truthfully raw. Just like the 30 words I just used. And now this 31st is all.
Wow, so you hit 30 twice already. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to count to 30, but then I was like, nah. Snap, snap, snap. So that was our top of the dome. And now it's time that we go home. So
But
Dara.
that was the fastest you heard me do it, isn't it?
Yes. You had the first sentence that you combined. What did you combine? Candor, Oh, and monkey. Didn't you have monkey in the first sentence?
Something like that. I got thrown real fast.
You went in order.
I did, except for touch jumped intentional.
Got you.
I had it when I originally thought about it. I was like, yeah, I got it straight. And then I was like, how did I get to elevation? Like once I got to 30, I couldn't get to elevation anymore. So somehow I got to elevation. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
I was like, I'm just gonna go around. I'm not gonna make anything of substance here.
I was just trying to figure out like what you could do with these words. And I was like, how are you gonna play with monkey? Oh, we gonna monkey around. Mm-hmm. You're gonna monkey around. And you're gonna find 30 positions or situations or something we going to. Yeah. Okay. Once I got there, I was like, I got this. I'm going to tap into my inner Tonii and make this something a little fun to do. So,
well, if those of you out there want to play around with the monkey around with these words, please do go ahead and use your candor and all 30 of the dirtiest words you can think of and take this poetry thing to new elevations. Be intentional. Touch new places. Touch new situations. Touch new definitions. Touch new I already said situation. Sorry. Definitions. Touch your intuition.
Paper and just have fun with it. There we
go. So Dara, take us home.
Thank you for listening to Word2Wordz, the Poets Podcast. We've had a great time today. The theme song was brought to you by the skill of Eric Ty Sky, the DJ Whites. We love the song. I love the song. Thank you, Eric, again for lending your skill to us so that we could have the song. I am your host, or one of your two hosts. I am Dara Kalima, the community poet.
And I am Tonii 2 Eyes, the Entreprepoet.
Reach out to us by submitting your words for the next episode. Share the things you want to talk about. If you know a poet you think we should highlight, let us know. You have our website, which is Word2Wordz. You can find us everywhere. Look for Word2Wordz with a number 2 and ending with a Z. And that is how you will find us, because that's where we be. Everywhere. Word2Wordz.
Ooh.
Did you see that? You see what I did there?
I saw it.
Okay.
I seen it.
See your ear too, right? Ooh, what is happening right there?
I seen it.
That said, next month we have supposedly a special episode because it will be number 10. Number 10. And I believe I just confirmed our guest yesterday, so I won't say who, just in case things change. But we should be having a special guest next month, so join us to find out more details. And even if we don't have a special guest, you will have us, and that makes it special anyway. So thank you again for joining us for Word2Wordz. We love you. We enjoy your joining in with us, and we hope you join us again next month. You will find us soon. I'm tired. It's been a long
Bye, y'all.
day.
Bye.
We appreciate you. This is how you know it's a real podcast and we just not making this up and it's just not realistic. But we will catch you on the next time. And